What's up, everybody? Here we are, Sunday morning, March 3rd. Split slate today, 3-gamer at 3:30, 4-gamer tonight at 6. Showdown slate at 1 o'clock if you're super interested. Good luck there. Hope everybody had a good night last night. I ended up perfectly acceptable. Ship my money finish. Got a stat correction at some point in time. Double check it. Chip finished 46th. So shout out to him. We were pulling for him, that's for sure. I was tracking it most of the night. MMA last night. John Jones picks up an easy victory. Kamaru Usman smashes Tyron Woodley. But that's not what you guys are here for. We've got too much basketball to talk about. I mean, it's really a lot of games. 8 games total. So let's just dive into it. What do you say? Just touch quickly on Hornets Blazers, and then I'll try to address both slates independently. You take a look at some crunches and stuff too. Hang out for about an hour and 15, somewhere in that neighborhood, and then I got to get out of here and go watch Liverpool. So let's tackle it. First game up on the list. I'm just going to touch on it quickly. Hit that like button, by the way, as you're getting in the door. And NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any package you choose. Check that out. Subscribe on iTunes. These shows go up on iTunes just after they're finished. So if you're looking for an audio version for later in the day, search for us on any podcast app you use. You'll find us. Not Liverpool again. Liverpool for sure. It's a big one today. Badger and Bournemouth fan said it when he got in the door. Game Theory, I love you too, buddy. All right, Hornets and Blazers. Not too much to say here. It's showdown slate on DraftKings. It's part of the all-day slate on FanDuel. If I'm looking at this right now, I'm fine with Jeremy Lamb. His minutes seem to be pretty steady. It looks like Monk is back out of the rotation. They've been dialing back MKG's minutes. So if you're looking to do anything from the Hornets side, Walker, Lamb, Zeller, Batum, Williams, you have to draw the line right there. I like Marvin Williams as a bit of a value play. On the Portland side, Cantor back, so you can pretty much, I don't want to say ignore because that's not the right word, but it makes me really dubious of playing Yusuf Nurkic. My focus in this one would be for Damian Lillard. I like this spot for him. Not much to worry about on the opposite side, but I don't really have a lot of strong takes because the Hornets-Blazers game is not a part of anything. Let's see what else we've got. I have the live before lock graphics up. Yes, I do. Let's fix that. Boom. NBA Strategy is now the promo code. Ignore the screen. I fixed it. Shout out to Dante in Premium Slack. What did Diallo finish with? 31 FanDuel points in 21 minutes. Yeah, that's played really well. Played 21 minutes. So there are 44 guys above him. I'm not super worried about it. He played as well as he possibly could and just didn't play enough minutes. You'd be happy to have him in your lineup. It was not a necessity. Not super worried about Diallo there, guys. All right, here, let's get into it now. Early slate. 3-gamer. Make sure that I have all this set up. We're good there. I think I did a DK crunch. Yeah. All right, let's talk about it. Boston Celtics hosting the Houston Rockets. 114 implied total for the Celtics. 111.5 for the Rockets. So 2.5 point favorites here. An oddly low line. On the Boston side, it's possible we see Aaron Baines here. He is questionable. Doesn't matter all that much. Basically, if he plays, Tice doesn't, and vice versa. For Houston, Eric Gordon is probable. Kenneth Faried, probable. Shump, doubtful. Gerald Green, questionable. Oh, God. Good work on that Ayton play. He looked pretty good. All right. Let's talk about this Celtics team. I have everything in my sheet right now calibrated for just this 3-gamer, so numbers are going to be sort of weird. $9,600 Kyrie Irving on FanDuel, $9,200 on DK. I mean, I greatly prefer him on FanDuel, but it's hard to not want some Kyrie. I think he's pretty clearly the best point guard option from the early slate, especially if Trae Young is going to be 9,100. You can't expect 27 million overtimes. So the guy that I'd be looking for most at point guard at the top end is definitely Kyrie. On DraftKings, I like him, but not nearly as much as I do on FanDuel. He's a bit further down the way for me. I think Horford and Tatum are both fine on either site. Gordon Hayward for 4K on DraftKings is a spot where I can be okay. Value is going to be tough to find as of right now. When I ran my first crunch, I got Kyrie in 35% of all lineups, 27% of my top 60. Do we have ownership yet? We do have ownership. Okay. What do we consider the main slate here? Ownership. FanDuel. Okay, so that's going to be for the main. Do we have early yet? We do not. All right, we'll take a look at that ownership a little bit later. Yeah, I would focus mostly on Irving. Horford and Tatum work as like mid-tier plays. Hayward on DraftKings. I don't have much else. I don't really have any interest in Marcus Morris, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown. So Irving is I would say the key piece. I guess I should run a FanDuel crunch. See what it looks like. Let's do that. Hope everybody's having a good weekend. I am messing up everything I'm trying to do here. Where's the chat now? Chat to the right. Fantasy Cruncher pulled out. There we go. Josh working overtime. Josh working normal time right now. What is my coffee of choice? Whatever's here. No coffee of choice. But I will enjoy a nice, like, good coffee if I'm out and about. X gonna give it to you. Exactly. All right, let's grab the FanDuel projections and put them in. I'm going to FanDuel crunch going so I can have something to talk about. Three-game slate. Ceiling isn't necessarily what you need. But everybody's got a ceiling. Jamal, nice work. Alrighty. FanDuel crunch. Here it comes. Got Alex Len, Vince Carter. What a ridiculous, ridiculous day. What do we do with the Hawks? What do we do with the Knicks? That's a much better question. Turns out I need a little bit more wiggle room. See how that shakes out. DeAndre Jordan gonna play? Does it? I don't know. I hope so, just to make the Knicks even less playable. But who knows? All right, FanDuel Crunch is getting cranked out. Let's load that up so I can at least see how I'll be looking. Delete, delete, delete. All right, there's 200 FanDuel lineups. I gotta wake up. This is only coffee number 1, so once I get these crunches in here, we'll be able to pick up the pace. Delete and sort. We'll do top 100. Okay, so on a crunch for the early slate, I would get Kyrie in 42% of my lineups. More than comfortable with that. If we take a look, and this is on FanDuel, we take a look at the rest of this game for Boston, I would get 14% Horford, 18% Tatum. I think that lines up pretty well with my numbers. I don't really have anybody else, smattering of the Gordon Hayward types. And then on DK, Kyrie 27%, Horford 22%, Hayward 13%. Not as much Tatum on DK. I'm a little surprised by that, but not coming out in the top end of my lineups. No reason you can't get to Kyrie there. Now, Houston side. Like I read this off before, but doubtful for Shump, questionable for Gerald Green, should have everybody else. Harden looks pretty damn tasty. He is only in 6% of my lineups on FanDuel, however. And on DK, just 13%. He's really difficult to get to with the amount of value that's out there right now. So while I like him, I think it's easier to play guys like Zach LaVine, Lou Williams, Kent Bazemore on FanDuel. So I'm not going to have too much James Harden. Paul and Capella are the guys that I like the most, the guys that I think are easiest to get to. Paul, 8,500 on FanDuel, 7,900 on DraftKings. I'll be in the mid-20s or higher on these guys, probably in the 30s or higher on FanDuel for Paul. It's just easier to get to everybody else. If more value opens up, that's fine. You kind of need to like drag the bottom of the barrel to get to James Harden on this early slate. It's a lot easier to just go to someone like Kyrie. Fareed, if he plays, is mildly in play on FanDuel at 5,700. Similarly, PJ Tucker for 3,900 on DraftKings on a 3-game slate. If you're going to have a nice chunk of this spot, then adding PJ Tucker to a bit of a game stack. You naturally want to be. I know Eddie has talked about this from time to time. The smaller the slate, the more like it's okay to have lots of bites of one game, because if something's an outlier like Bulls Hawks, being on that will be big. Carries much more weight when it's 1 of 3 compared to like 1 of 8 or 1 of 9. Yeah, this early slate is not the best. Not the best at all. Yeah, no standout plays here. It's not really all that appealing. If we're talking about just early slate, like most of my exposure is coming from the Chicago-Atlanta game, at least on DraftKings. On FanDuel, Most of it, again, is coming from that game. So you can supplement with Boston and Houston, but they are not going to be priorities because we have this one. The Chicago Bulls are hosting the Atlanta Hawks. 116.25 implied total for the Bulls. 111.75 for the Hawks. Obviously, these teams, unless you're living under a rock, these teams just had a monumental, massive overtime game 2 nights ago. And they're really hard to avoid. We'll start on the Bulls side, which we already know. 116 implied total is pretty nice. Hawks defense is terrible. So I have a lot of focus on this team. Markkanen is my number one guy with a bullet on FanDuel, on DraftKings. It is, it's without question for me my favorite spot. I got Markkanen in 83% of my stuff on DraftKings, 74% on FanDuel. I loved him 2 nights ago. He only got there because of the OT, so that sort of makes me feel a little bit better. But I'm going to have basically as much Markkanen as I can. This has nothing to do with the game from a couple nights ago. Well, I mean, it does in that I liked him just as much then, but I'm going right back to the well. Give me all the Markkanen you can get, but really, that is not where I'm drawing the line. Levine, Porter, both massive, massive spots. If I filter down just on the Bulls here, on FanDuel in my crunch, I got 74% Markkanen, 52% Porter, 49% Levine, 39% Dunn, even 14% Wayne Selden. I'm just all over this spot. Similarly on DK, 50% Porter, 47 Levine, 28 Dunn. I just want a lot of Chicago. The Hawks defense is so bad. Caustic, Markkanen's price is just too high. But like on a 3-game slate in these games, when you basically have to throw the Knicks in the garbage and you're picking out of 5 teams, is it too high? Rodney Washington, am I playing early and late? Yes, I am. I'm playing the Bulls. If Markkanen were on a, I would like him one way or the other, but if this were like a 12-game slate, it's certainly different. I have no problem paying $8,600 for Markkanen on this 3-gamer. You just don't have any options. Yeah, don't forget, no Amari Spellman. We might see a ton of... I don't see Horford and Harrell as comparable at all. Look, admittedly, I'm probably high on Markkanen, but he's got a monster projection, 3rd or 4th highest on the entire slate. Either way, I want a ton of this game. I want a ton of the Bulls. It's really hard for me to want to ignore them, and it has nothing to do with overtimes. They're the guys that are going to be popping up for me a lot. On the same side, it's going to be the same case for Atlanta. Trae Young up to 9,100 on FanDuel is kind of bonkers. 8,900 on DK. If we take a look at my exposures for Atlanta on FanDuel, it's a lot of this game. Bazemore, Vince Carter, Trae Young, Dedmon, Bembry, Alex Len, getting all of these guys 20% or more, at least on FD. On DraftKings, exposures looking like 73% Bembry, 63% Baze, 33% Dedmon, 27% Trae Young. But I think we need to talk about this a little bit. No problem whatsoever going to these guys. I can't say it enough. Like, Vince Carter's going to play mid-20s minutes, and if that's the case, he's 3,700 on FanDuel. He's a really nice punt option. He's 3,200 on DraftKings. You have to pay attention to it. They're just missing so many guys. I didn't touch on the injuries for Atlanta. The Bulls are normal here. Levine just being probable, but Kevin Herter probable. John Collins doubtful. Amari Spellman out. Taurean Prince out. Alex Len and VC are both probable. So it's there's so many minutes to go around. It's hard to like. DeAndre Bembry is $3,200 on DraftKings. He's going to play 25 plus minutes. You don't have a choice. It's one of the only spots that you can find value right now. So that's why I've got Bembry in so many of my lineups. It's the only thing that makes things fit. Dedmon should see 30 minutes. Alex Len could see a couple extra minutes. Looks like an okay punt option. I like Trae Young more on FanDuel than I do on DK, just because of the forced positional stuff. I will get a bit more Trae Young there. He's a little overpriced right now. Just a hair. Hard not to like him, though. I just can't totally prioritize him on DraftKings. There are other things that I like around that 8,900. Like, I would much rather have Lauri Markkanen than Trae Young on DK. That's all, really. What else we got here? Dunn will play better. Yeah, I hope Dunn plays well. Ooh, no Firmino today. Is the lineup out? Arnold, Matip, Van Dyke, Robertson, Henderson, Fabinho. Okay. Divock Origi going to score another miracle goal. So I guess we could touch on Alex Poitras. I have him in for 18 minutes right now. He's the flat minimum on FanDuel. He is 3,400 on DraftKings. Not someone that's coming up for me. Going to need a lot more minutes than 18. I can't get there. But if you think he gets more time, feel free. Why is... Okay, well, I can't say that. Not much interest in Kevin Herter. Yeah, I think there are a few better drops on FanDuel than Alex Poitras. I can't help but want to have lots and lots of exposure to this game. It's too difficult to get away from. It's the most advantageous spot by far. Okay, we have early ownership now for the NBA, so shout out Tom. We'll take a look and see where we stand right now. I'll load that in after I finish talking about Clippers and Knicks, and I'll let you guys know where I stand in relationship to the public. Clippers and Knicks, 119.5 implied total for the Clips, 109.5 for the Knicks. If we filter down on the Clippers, in terms of exposure for me, 55% Harrell, 49% Lou Will, 44% Gallo, and a little bit of Pat Bev. So Harrell, Lou Will, Gallo getting a lot of love. From the Knicks side, Dennis Smith, Noah Vonleh, Henry Ellenson, and then some smatterings. I hate it. I hate this damn Knicks team. But if we talk about the Clippers side, Harrell at 6,800 on FanDuel, 6,400 on DK. Hard not to want to look here. He should be able to just have the motor to do whatever he wants against the Knicks. I mean, Lou Will lives for games where he can put up as many shots as he wants against a garbage team. So he is one of my more popular plays. And Gallo just is solid. And on a 3-gamer, I'm happy to be here. I just want to have a lot of those 3 guys. The line for this game is just close enough that I'm comfortable with it. So feel free to grab your Clippers. From the Knicks side, as I mentioned, Dennis Smith, it's worth the shot, particularly on DraftKings at 6,100. I have Noah Vonleh in for 18 minutes, so basically you're just hoping that he works as a punt. And then Henry Ellenson is 4,500 on FanDuel and 4K on DraftKings. I got him in for 26 minutes. I'll take a shot, but look, I cannot in good conscience really recommend any specific plays from the Knicks outside of maybe Ellenson on DraftKings. You can't trust these guys. There's too many bodies. There's no telling who plays. Conscious Machine, good work. See, that's what happens when you come to these shows and you listen to me. I couldn't even say that with a straight face. All right, let's take a look at the early ownership quick, and then we'll put these games to bed. So this is DraftKings, and this is FanDuel. All right, so based on my first crunch, the guys that I like most over the field are Lauri Markkanen. He is chalk. I don't have a problem with it. DeAndre Bembry, pretty chalky. Don't have a problem with it. Henry Ellenson, I am significantly over the field on. This is DK. Very low ownership projection. I will have Ellenson as a value play. Otto Porter, Montrezl Harrell, Chris Paul. Those are the guys that I have the most of relative to where the field stands. The guys that I am fading most: Jason Tatum, James Harden, Alex Len, Marcus Morris, Zubats, Gilgeous-Alexander, Clint Capella. Those are my biggest fade numbers. But right here, pausing, going a little slow. That's the list of guys that I'm most over the field on, if you're curious. Now on FanDuel, most over the field on Vince Carter. 3,700 just works. He is the punt play that I would be looking for most. I'll have him a lot as a potential punt, particularly at small forward. Similar story for Noah Vonleh. Similar story for Wayne Selden. Most over the field on Gallo, Alex Len, Kent Bazemore, DeAndre Bembry. And on the opposite end of the picture for FanDuel, these are the guys that I have least in comparison to the field. So my biggest fades right now are James Harden, Lauri Markkanen. That can't be right. Must be super backwards. Nope. Wait. Wrong column. Let me start that again. Most over the field on FanDuel: Vince Carter, Lauri Markkanen, Chris Paul, Noah Vonleh, Lou Williams. Most under the field: Marcus Morris, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, James Harden, Gilgeous-Alexander. So, in summary for FanDuel, I'm staying away from the Boston game. I'm most focused on Bulls-Hawks. I will likely supplement elsewhere. I don't mind that Bulls-Hawks game being chalky. I think that I can get different enough in other spots that it'll be easier to pivot off of chalky options from other games. So that's where I stand for the early games. Let's move on to the 6 o'clock starts. I do have to make a couple changes in the sheet, so this is the perfect time to hit that like button and, I don't know, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the iTunes channel, use the promo code NBA Strategy for a free month. It's all sorts of easy stuff you could be doing while I update my sheet. A little bit more value on the late slate. JK. It's a lot tougher. All right, so one adjustment for FanDuel in, one adjustment for DK in. So the reason I'm doing it like this, since these are two very distinctly different slates, I set my target numbers based on slate size and the value in a slate. So everything adjusts for itself. Going to need to run 2 crunches for late slate info as well. So let's do that. Get out of FanDuel. Switch the slate. You can watch me use Fantasy Cruncher. I'll grab the FanDuel info. All right, projections are in. We'll disable group. Make myself a punt group. Okay, Bruce Brown, Terrence Ferguson, Ish Smith, Justin Holiday. Talk about a garbage group of punts. Ew. It's all shooting guards. Jesus. All right. Good. That should be 58.8. Yeah, hit that like button. All right, FanDuel Crunch on its way. Get a DK Crunch as well. Just such dramatically different slates. It's hard not to want to play today, even though I don't exactly love them. Ooh, gonna have way too much Bradley Beal tonight. Yeah, X-Cossack, you might be right here. These are low-key trash. Which means that I'm going to play double the amount that I normally play today. You gotta love it. Alrighty, FanDuel crunch is crunching. Let's get the DraftKings crunch out of the way. That's going to be a lot of Satoransky, apparently. Hope everybody's comfortable with that. That's a good question from Z-Rob. What do I use as my criteria for target drop plays for a group in Fantasy Cruncher? Basically just guys that are functional, and I'll jam them in as much as possible. Jay Goods. I love the pop star reference. Liking that a lot. All right. Let's get another crunch out of DK. And then we are good to go. 200. Calculate. I'm ready for a normal Monday slate tomorrow. FanDuel crunch in. I assume DraftKings crunch is done. DraftKings crunch is in. Update ownership. And we'll have everything good. All right, FanDuel updated. We got plenty of time right now, so I'll be able to take some questions at the end as well. I really, really hope DeAndre Jordan plays. It makes life so much easier. All right. FanDuel crunch locked and loaded. Top 100 lineups get picked. Why is that not loading? Oh, I'm on FanDuel early. That's not helping. That explains a lot. That explains a hell of a lot. Okay, now we're dancing. Now we got the info in here. All right, top 100 FanDuel lineups locked and loaded. This is quite the process with split slates and trying to do this show at the same time. Doing a terrible job of it, if I'm being honest. I'm sure you guys will agree. All right, DraftKings is in. Already exported. These will be my lineups on DraftKings. So here we go. Main slate, ready to dive in. Cleveland Cavaliers hosting the Orlando Magic. 104 implied total for the Cavs. 110.5 for the Magic. God, that's an ugly basketball game. Kevin Love back. The whole Cavs team is just so bad. Love probable. Ante Zizic is questionable. Still no Tristan Thompson. Clearly still no John Henson, who, yes, is a Cleveland Cav. Nance is someone I'm looking at a little bit on FanDuel 5,600. But if we take a look at exposures for Cleveland on FanDuel, I have 26% Larry Nance, and that's about it. How bad is that position tonight if I'm getting that much Nance? Yeah, power forward is not the greatest. I'm not totally comfortable with that much Nance. It's something that I'm going to want to look into, but for right now, I'm okay with it. Otherwise, on FanDuel, no interest in anything else, really. On the DK side for Cleveland, I don't have anybody more than Chetty at 7%. It's just a tough spot. Orlando's defense has been fantastic. The Cavs have a 104 implied total. It's tied for the lowest amount with Memphis. They're spread out. They've got a lot of bad bodies, so I'm gonna just ignore these guys. Little bit of Nance, and that's it. And I probably need to take a closer look at that one. From the Orlando side, if we take a look at FanDuel first, actually, let's unfilter that so I can get this garbage in order. Where do we got to be? There we go. Filter. Lots to like on Orlando. John Isaac, Aaron Gordon, Fournier, and Vooch. I'm way under the field on Fournier right now. He is projected for 30% ownership. I only got to 14. This is on FanDuel. On DK, if we want to take a look at where I end up on Orlando, this is just not the game. We will get to Washington in a bit. Vooch, Aaron Gordon, and Evan Fournier all in the 20s. Just slightly ahead of the field there. That's where I want to be. Vooch, Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier. I don't totally want to be with the Evan Fournier chalk on FanDuel. 30% is a pretty healthy amount of Evan Fournier. There's enough around there where I'd just as easily go to an unowned Jordan Clarkson or an unowned Avery Bradley. Even Terrence Ross is owned significantly less. So while I like Fournier quite a bit, I don't want to play him if he's that chalky. But we've got bigger games to talk about. And we'll go to the Pistons. Pistons and Raptors, 107.25 implied total for the Pistons, 111.75 for the Raptors, 4.5-point favorites in Detroit. We'll start on the Pistons side. On FanDuel, Blake 47%, Reggie Jackson 25%, Andre Drummond 18%. That's where I stand right now. So basically 3 guys in play. On DK, we're looking at 33% Drummond, 23% Blake, a little handful of Luke Kennard and Wayne Ellington. Look, Andre Drummond is 10-3 on FanDuel, and Blake Griffin is 8,700. That is outlandish. I love Blake. Absolutely love Blake on FanDuel. But not as much as I would have expected. I'm over the field, but field at 35%, it's going to be hard to crest that. I can get north of it, but it's tough. Reggie Jackson, I don't really want to get to the 31% that the public is at right now. I will come in under that number. I just don't feel comfortable about it. And then Drummond, I think, is fine at 10-3. On a slate like this, raw points might be enough. So if you're playing on FanDuel, don't be too worried about the 10-3 price tag. If he ends up being the highest scorer by 10 points or something, you might just need him. So he's not my first priority. He's the third guy I like from FanDuel, but Drummond's still in play. The DK side, you can take your shots on the value of Wayne Ellington at 3,700, but he's playing significantly less minutes. So my focus and your focus should be on the $8,800 and $8,400 Drummond and Blake, price tags up into the 20s and 30s. I'm under the field on these guys, or at least under the field on Blake. But that is because the Wizards-Timberwolves game is just fantastic. All right, let's talk Toronto quickly. Raptors on FanDuel. Siakam, I have at 40%. We have him projected for 20% ownership. So right there, you can see that I'm basically double the field on him, and that's exactly where I want to be. I had a ton of Siakam 2 nights ago, and I'm going right back to it. It's the best play on the Raptors on FanDuel for sure. I can't imagine going a different direction. Just a great spot too. I don't get the sense that he's going to have much to worry about on the Pistons side. I did give Marc Gasol a couple extra minutes. I'm not comfortable with figuring out what they're going to do. You would think Marc Gasol fits a little bit better against Drummond than Ibaka does, but who knows what they're doing right now. It makes it really difficult to want to like either one of those guys. And then Kawhi, I'm right with the field. He's at 27% expected ownership on FanDuel. I'm at 21. That's just kind of where I'll be. On the DK side, I don't really like all that much Toronto of this game. I'll be over the field on the 9% expected ownership for Pascal Siakam. I don't know why it's that low. So he's the only guy I want to be over on, but I'm mostly fading Danny Green, Lowry, Marc Gasol, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi at 11. We've got Marc Gasol at 22% on DraftKings. I only got him to 2. Price is at 5,600. I gave Gasol 26 minutes. If he gets to 30, he's clearly in play. I have no idea what they're going to do with their center rotation moving forward. I would guess that Gasol sees more minutes in this particular spot, but the Raptors are a smart organization. They could be rotating through everybody. I think that their priority is keeping people healthy throughout the rest of the year, so it's going to be hard for me to overreact to any sort of scenario. We're going to need to see Gasol play 28 plus minutes for a couple games before I'm confident. But the game that we want to talk about, the Washington Wizards hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves. Wizards 119.75 implied total. Wolves 118.25. So it's a 1.5 line. And the total is 238. This is so clearly the best game on this late slate. But we need to be careful about what we talk about. So, pace up spot for both teams. Neither team particularly good on defense. We'll look at the Wizards first. I have so much exposure here. It's insane. All right. Ariza, Satoransky, Parker, Portis, Green, Bradley, Beal. 3 of those guys I am massively over the field on. I have Trevor Ariza in 64% of my original crunch. We have him at 27. I will be very heavy on Ariza. I'll be very heavy on Tomas Satoransky. I don't know why I said it like that. 55% in my first crunch. We have him at 39. Then Jabari Parker, 50% again for me. He's at 5,500. We've got him in the 20s. I will be over the field on Parker. Now, Portis, I'm pretty neutral on. I've got 40%. That's where the public is. Jeff Green, I've got 30%. Public's at 40, so I'm a little low. And then Bradley Beal, only 22% for me. He's 10K on FanDuel. We've got the public at 45%. I'm going to come in quite a bit under that number as of right now. It's not that I don't like Bradley Beal. I just simply like other options. I don't want to spend up to 10K at Bradley Beal when I can just as easily get to Wiggins for $6,500 or, $5,600 Fournier. I'm still comfortable having some Dennis Schroeder even if Paul George plays, but Paul George is questionable. I just see better pay-up spots. If you've got $8,700 Blake Griffin on FanDuel, I would rather allocate $8,700 to Blake than $10K to Bradley Beal. It's just a better spot in my opinion. So I am fading a little bit of the chalk of Bradley Beal. Ariza, Satoransky, Jabari Parker are the guys that I like most from a FanDuel perspective. On DraftKings for the Wizards, monster amounts of Satoransky, Parker, Ariza, Beal, Portis, Jeff Green. It's a very similar scenario. This game is fantastic. I am greatly over the field on Satoransky, Parker, and Ariza, just like on FanDuel. The difference being on DK, I'm basically with the field on Beal, Portis, and Jeff Green. So Satoransky, Parker, and Ariza are the guys that I would go to first. If you can pay up for someone like Beal, I totally understand it. I just want to have everything that I can get of this game. This is the natural game stack, in my opinion. What else we got? Let's head to the Minnesota side and on FanDuel. So, Minnesota. Oh, God. Way over the field on Jeff Teague. I've got 46%. I've got him in for 30 minutes. He's 6,400. He's one of my favorite point guard options on FanDuel. I'm going to be quite over the field on these first four guys: Teague, Wiggins, Towns, and Derrick Rose. Rose at 5,800. If he's only at 9%, I'll take a shot at some scoring in what should be just an up-tempo game. Those are the four guys that I want the most. You can work Dario Saric in a little bit, but I will be under the field there. Teague is my favorite play here if we're talking about, my leverage to the public. So Teague, Wiggins, Towns on FanDuel. Grab them all up. On the DK side, Teague, Wiggins, Towns. It's a little repetitive, I know, but how else could you do it? Now, they're all in the basically 30 to 40% range. I'm going to be over those numbers. I'm 20% ahead on Teague. I've got 60. Public's got 40. I've got 50% Wiggins. Public at 33. I've got 40% Towns. Public at 30. This is a place I want to spend up. I'm just going to be all over this game. I want to try to have as many combinations of it as possible. It's too much to like, too many points, too much potential. You can, I don't like punting with Josh Okogie for 3,400, but it's there for you. Thomas Bryant for 4,500 is there for you on DK, but you guys heard who I like most. Finally, the final game, the late night hammer, which starts at 7 p.m. The Oklahoma City Thunder hosting the Memphis Grizzlies. 114 implied total for the Thunder, 104 for the Grizzlies. So Thunder 10-point favorites. Paul George questionable right now. If he is out, continue to treat these games like you have for the past couple games. But right now I have him in. If that is the case, Terrence Ferguson is a guy that I would be using as a punt option on FanDuel. There aren't that many places to spend down, and I do like forcing in at least one guy under 3,900. So for right now, Ferguson, because of his position, is a guy that I'm looking at. And then I know Russ has been not great lately. I have him in for 17% ownership. We are projecting 33. It makes me uncomfortable to fade Russ after seeing him not play well for a couple games. I feel like I'm hopping off at the wrong time, but I would just rather pay up somewhere else. Steven Adams, I think, is fine. I'll just be around the field. But I don't really want all that much of Oklahoma City. I think there are better options out there tonight. So outside of using Ferguson as a punt because he's only 3,600, this is just not the spot for me, at least not on FanDuel. Now, on DraftKings for Oklahoma City, the only guy that I'm getting with any sort of volume is Steven Adams. I get him to 12%. That's right where the field is. So I have to ignore it. After that, it's barely any Schroeder or Ferg, and I'm ignoring Westbrook and Paul George. I just don't want to pay up here today. It's not my spot. From the Memphis side, which, well, they're the Grizzlies, so 35% Justin Holiday. Now, he is questionable, so keep an eye on this. If he is out, find some other garbage in this game. DeLon Wright, Avery Bradley, CJ Miles. But for now, Justin Holiday at 3,900 works as a punt on FanDuel if he's in. Mike Conley is the only guy that I want with any sort of volume. I have him at 31% right now. We have the field at 14, so I like spending up for Mike Conley here. This feels like a good spot for him, going totally underrepresented. And if you want to get to Joe Val, I think that's fine. I've got him in 14% of my lineups. From the DK side, this Memphis team, Avery Bradley, only 4,500. He's at 5% ownership. Look, he's playing big minutes. He's Avery Bradley. It makes me really uncomfortable to see my ownership get to that number. If he really is in the single-digit ownership, I won't go to 30. I'll be in like the low 20s. I don't need that much leverage, in my opinion. Not in that particular spot. I hope more value will come out. Joe Val for 7K looks pretty good as well. I'm slightly over the field here. Slightly over the field on Noah at 5,100. Neutral on Conley. Neutral on DeLon Wright. I don't really want to have too much of this game, but Bradley and Joe Val on the DK side are the direction that I'd be looking to go. So we want to sum this up for the late slate. Guys I like the most relative to the field. Terrence Ferguson and Justin Holiday would be the punt plays that I would force in just to get additional salary in my other spots. But if we're talking about just overall on FanDuel on the main slate, Trevor Ariza, Jabari Parker, Jeff Teague, Pascal Siakam, Mike Conley. Those are my 5 guys I like significantly more than the field. On the opposite end of this coin, Bruno Caboclo is getting a lot of love, $3,600 as a punt play. I think that is fine. I just don't have him. Biggest fades for me, Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, Evan Fournier. These are guys that I like, but I'm not getting because they are really difficult to fit in. Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal in particular. I'm fading a little bit of Saric, of Jeremy Grant, and of Jeff Green. On the DK side, guys I like the most relative to the field: Jabari Parker, Avery Bradley, Trevor Ariza, Jeff Teague, Andrew Wiggins, Tomas Satoransky, Karl Anthony Towns. If we're looking for guys that I am fading most on DraftKings right now, Marc Gasol, Terrence Ross, Russell Westbrook, Colin Sexton, Josh Okogie, Kawhi Leonard. That's where we stand. That is where we stand right now. 2 slates. I'm playing them both. I'll be around most of the day. I think it's going to be a lazy Sunday in the Engelman household. I'm going to go off and watch some Liverpool shortly. We should have Eddie tonight for Live Before Lock. I assume he goes at 5. I haven't heard from him yet today. I know he was traveling yesterday. We will have something as a late show. I assume that it's Eddie. If he's not around, I can just as easily hop on for the main slate. Probably won't have anybody coming on for 3:30 unless Eddie is feeling super froggy. So keep an eye on our Twitter account, my Twitter account. I'll tweet something out if it changes. If anybody has any questions that they want to get in, I'm happy to take them right now. I've got a couple extra minutes before I want to go and watch my Reds win. Yeah, NASCAR as well. We have fantastic NASCAR coverage from Phil. So if you want to check that out and sign up, come check out what we got for NASCAR. MMA went really well. I think our ownership projections looked really good. I think our projections did well. I put my cheat sheet out. 5 of the 6 guys from the cheat sheet were victorious and in pretty big fashion. The only other guy that wasn't there was Tyron Woodley. I had Woodley and Kamaru Usman on my cheat sheet. I saw that fight going one of 2 ways. I thought that Woodley could starch him pretty quickly. I didn't think that Usman would have the ability to just grapple him at will. So that was the one spot where I was comfortable being on both sides of the coin. Ultimately, it ended up being an Usman spot. Just ragdolled him for 5 rounds. Kind of crazy. But otherwise, it was good. Stamen was fine. John Jones obviously put a beating on Anthony Smith. Who else did we have recommended? I guess I could just go look at it. Well, it's on the website. It's free content. You can go check it out. But I'm going to be providing an MMA cheat sheet every week. We're going to have MMA projections each week. We should have ownership projections as well. We're slowly building out the MMA content. Rodney Washington, does fading mean playing none or low percentage of? Low percentage of. Well, it could mean none, but generally I just mean like a significant diversion from the public. Siakam or J-Val on DraftKings? Siakam for me. Don't worry about it. I don't know if that's Brad or Tom, but yeah, I know I'm on a little bit of a delay. Okay, guys, that's going to be it from me. I'm going to go get myself ready and go watch Liverpool win the Merseyside Derby. So best of luck. We'll have more content out throughout the day. I will keep a close eye on projections. Good luck in the early slate. Good luck in the main slate. And I will see you tomorrow morning with Ship My Money. Adios, everybody.